Hello, it's 10 p.m. Saturday night in Accra and in Aberdeen, Scotland, midnight in Cairo, Egypt, and 7 a.m. Sunday in Pyeongchang, South Korea. This is News at 10, live from the News Hub at Adisawi, Kanda, Accra. I'm Stephen Enti, and you can follow our live stream on Facebook and on 3news.com. Let's first take a look at the day's major news highlights. One of the metal pallets in the only bridge linking Akusi and neighboring towns across the Volta Lake is now falling off, hanging dangerously. Drivers, residents and commuters from Esuchari in the Shayo Sudoku district of the Greater Accra region say they have no option than to risk using the bridge. On the broken bridge on the Bongo Namo Road in the Bongo district of the Upper East region is impacting negatively on healthcare. Pregnant women especially cannot be easily transported to referral centers across the bridge, which was once closed by the district assembly due to the danger it poses to motorists. What is left of the bridge may soon give way if work on the project is not expedited. And President Akufo-Addo says no headmaster is expected to charge any unapproved fees or charge fees exempted under the free senior high school policy. According to the president, he knows there are a handful of reactionary elements who seek to undermine the free SHS policy. And still in the Upper East region, officials of the Bongo district of the region are considering terminating an 18-unit classroom block and a dining hall complex at the Zoko Senior High School. The district assembly is also looking at erecting temporary structures for use as a dining hall. Students are inconvenienced as they study under dangerous conditions and eat standing in the open. And elsewhere, Ethiopian Defense Minister Shiraj Figesa says a state of emergency imposed on Friday after Prime Minister resigned will last 6 months. Outbreak of violence had continued in parts of the country and the government was banning protests along with the preparation and dissemination of publications that could incite and sow discord. The United States, a major aid donor, says it strongly disagrees with the decision to call for emergency rule. Those were our major news highlights. Remember, we're streaming live on our Facebook page and on 3news.com. Let's start with the very first story. The Food and Drugs Authority has assured the public of food safety concerning some 2 oil brands seized in Switzerland, with some individuals claiming that the 2 brands are on the Ghanaian market. Head of Communications at the Food and Drugs Authority, James Latte, spoke on News 360.
It's part of your statement that says that these brands are not registered with the FDA, but we have situations where some foodstuff are sold on the market that are not registered by you, but they find themselves on the market. Can you assure us that these 2 brands are actually not on the Ghanaian market as is being reported?
We embarked on an exercise to check on the market whether these 2 products were on the market. We realized that they were not on the Ghanaian market. That is so far what we have found out. Now, secondly, like you rightly indicated, these products have not been registered with the FDA. And let me mention this. When it comes to palm oil export in particular, what happens is this. Anytime anyone wants to export palm oil, FDA picks samples. We investigate, pick samples of the consignment, test them to ensure that they do not contain Sudan 4. Because some years ago, palm oil that was getting to the EU market were being rejected because of Sudan 4. So we had to come into this agreement with the EU officials, and we started doing this exercise. So even if the product should be a product that came from Ghana, it means that it was smuggled out. Because what we did was that, receiving this information, we checked with our port whether such a consignment had been exported from Ghana. It was, in fact, noted that nothing of that nature.
Right.
Secondly, we wrote to the Swiss authorities.
Okay.
We are yet to get a confirmation from them. What we wanted to know from them was for them to confirm to us, number one, the importer or the exporter of the product, and then the country of origin. So we are waiting to get a response from them. But so far, our checks reveal that the product is not on the Ghanaian market.
And President Akufo-Addo says no headmaster is expected to charge any unapproved fees or charge fees that are exempted under the Free Senior High School policy. According to the president, he knows there are a handful of reactionary elements who seek to undermine the Free SHS policy.
The president said government will sanction any school head who will flout the directive not to charge unapproved fees. The president was speaking at the 60th anniversary celebration of Pope John Senior High School and Minor Seminary in Koforidua in the Eastern Region. Addressing a gathering of staff, students and alumni of the school, the president indicated that a government may not be able to make every citizen rich, but with political will and responsible leadership, a government can help create a society of opportunities and empowerment for every citizen.
Government, together with the Ghana Education Service and the Council and the Conference of Heads of Assisted Secondary Schools, has agreed to absorb all senior high school fees under the Free HS policy. No headmaster or headmistress, therefore, is to charge any unapproved or illegal fees or charging fees already exempted under the Free SHS policy. Government will make sure of this and sanction any school head who flouts this directive. We have a sacred duty to our children and to the generations beyond in ensuring that, irrespective of their circumstances, their right to an education is preserved.
He noted that citizens can only make informed choices if they're empowered with the capacity to make those choices.
Procurement processes are currently ongoing for the award of contracts for the provision of some 69,500 mono desks, 13,100 bunk beds, furniture for dining halls, staff rooms of teachers, computer laboratories, and the provision of marker boards for classrooms. Funding has been secured for the expansion and upgrading of facilities in 75 senior high schools across the country, with construction works on the existing community day schools ongoing. Government beginning this year will also upgrade 42 senior high schools into model schools.
But the executive director of the Institute of Education Studies, Peter Partey-NT, says the charging of unapproved fees by some heads of schools, despite warnings, shows lack of clear disconnect between policymakers and the implementers. He spoke with Alfred Akanse on News 360.
There is a disconnect between the policymaker and the implementation agency, the policymaker being the government and the implementation agency being the headmaster, because I cannot still understand the reason why a headmaster, after having a series of consultation with the ministry about this policy, would still want to charge unapproved fees. If the headmaster is having challenges, I think the proper thing to do is to go through the appropriate channels and channel his or her challenge to the Ministry of Education and see whether the ministry would address or not. Then the headmaster would have a cause to charge an unapproved fee. But as it stands now, if the headmaster has not gone through the proper channel and will still want to charge unapproved fees, we think that it is the highest level of insubordination, or possibly there's a headmaster who would really want to sabotage the policy from the government and needs to be sanctioned.
Okay, well, Mr. Ati, let's flip the coin now and look at the other side of issues, and maybe just go away from the sabotage language a little bit. Here's a case where a senior high school head is facing problems, right? And he has written to the GES. The GES will respond. But while he or she is waiting as a school head for the GES to respond, the problem pertains. The students are facing the problem. How do they take initiative, maybe in collaboration with the PTA, to solve these problems while awaiting the GES's intervention and not be described as sabotaging the whole program, which is facing some challenges, which we do know?
Yes, Alfred. You see, last year we had this kind of conversation. And one of the things that we raised was the channel of communication between the headmaster and the Ghana Education Service and that of the ministry. We think that they still need to streamline that, because it shouldn't take a months or years for a particular challenge identified by the headmaster to be addressed. So if the headmaster feels that there is this particular challenge in the school and still needs to inform PTA, there's also another regulation that says that any fee that PTA is going to charge should be approved by the GES. You see, so that is the challenge that we are all facing now. I think that is why the call by the Chief Justice recently is in order, that there still needs to be a broader consultation about this particular policy, because most of the headmasters will have genuine reasons to innovate, to do things in a way that will make the running of the school smooth. But as they do this, the people outside will see it as a sabotage.
This is still news at 10. We're live from the news hub at Adesawe, Kanda in Accra, and you can follow us on Facebook and on 3news.com. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Now, one of the metal pallets in the only bridge linking Akuse and neighboring towns across the Volta Lake is now falling off, hanging dangerously. Yet drivers, residents and commuters from Esuchari in the Shire Sudoku district of the Greater Accra region have no option than to risk using the bridge. Catherine Frimpoma has more.
This is the fourth time TV3 is reporting on the Esuchari Bridge, and the situation has now worsened. From afar, the bridge appears okay without any structural defect, but a careful look paints a different picture. Metal pallets are shifting and metallic railings corroding. This has been the trend for the past 4 years, increasingly endangering the lives of residents. The problem has now worsened, making it dangerous to ply. This is not the first time this bridge has broken down, but this is a very dangerous time bomb taken to explode into a very disastrous event, because there are no warning signs to caution unsuspecting drivers, especially at night.
It's dangerous, disastrous. It's a death trap to the community. And we have called upon the district assembly to assist us to have this thing done. We did it, GPRTU, we did it on 2 occasions. They've not assisted us. Now it has happened again.
If they repair it, let's say 3 to 4 months, it's spoiled again. Right now, since this bridge has collapsed, there's no one came and repaired the bridge for us. But now if car comes right now, unless you park.
Right after the bridge is a sand winning company, which is highly patronized mainly by big trucks. There are other companies in the area as well, and residents blame the continuous deteriorating state of the bridge to these trucks, even though the companies have denied. As if divine, this driver was unable to complete the journey to the other end of the bridge. Eventually, he had to retreat to make way for others.
The bridge is not good. it damaged. So we have to park the other bus behind the bridge. And then when we are coming from work, we'll pick the passengers so that they'll walk past through the bridge before they'll go.
The situation is affecting economic activities as movement across the bridge is restricted.
Somewhere last year, we had to use the canoe on the river. So cars, they brought the passengers and stopped here. They have to take the canoe and go. So we were not able to use the bridge for some times.
Built over 50 years ago under Ghana's first president, the bridge had not seen any major renovation until 2012 when the wooden pallets were replaced with these metals. Fixing the bridge has become a liturgy of promises from the then DCE in 2014 to the incumbent. But the MP for the area, Linda Akwele Okulu, assured of a long-term solution to the age-long problem.
They are 80% true. The engineers are on site, they've assessed the situation and given the feedback, to the Highways Authority. And so hopefully in 2 months' time, the bridge should be fixed.
What are they doing? What have you come to see what they're doing? Nothing has been done. They have not come to do it. It's 3 months now that this thing has been lying ajar. We're waiting on them to come to assist the community to have their way.
For how long will residents here continue to risk their lives traveling on this bridge? Maybe when a major disaster strikes, the entire nation would see the need to intervene. Catherine Frimpoma, TV3, Esuchari.
On scores of blood donors turned up at the TV3 premises to donate blood to help address the shortfall of blood required by the National Blood Bank. The annual blood donation exercise, which forms part of the company's social responsibility, bagged several units of blood for health facilities across the country.
Out of the 250,000 units of blood needed yearly to help patients who need blood transfusion therapy, only 165,000 is collected annually, representing 66%. This, according to the National Blood Transfusion Service, is due to apathy towards voluntary blood donation. Media General, as part of its corporate social responsibility, brought to its forecourt hundreds of donors to collect blood for health facilities across the country. Head of Department of the Blood Bank at the 37 Military Hospital, Captain Anaya Sniper, commended Media General for the intervention.
We find it very, very important and encouraging for Media General to collaborate with Blood Service and also the 37 Military Hospital to make sure this exercise is a successful one, so that there's enough blood in our various blood banks to save the lives that need to be.
Some donors also shared their experiences.
I don't see why people will be afraid of doing this. This is my 5th time, right? But I didn't feel nothing bad. Nothing happened to me. I'm okay. I feel happy when anytime I come around and donate blood.
It is normal feeling. That is my 3rd time, okay? And there's one concept, that is why that keeps me donating.
Richard Ahiable is a group head, corporate affairs at Media General.
We've been doing this for 9 good years. For us, it was a way to give back. It was a way to enable our listeners and our viewers to come through and donate to restock the National Blood Bank.
The Save a Life Project blood donation has become an annual affair for Media General in supporting society.
An international relations expert, Professor Vladimir Enchi Danso, has expressed confidence in Africa's growing democracy following the stepping down of some presidents across the continent. Speaking to TV3, he noted the continent is likely to experience many of such occurrences in line with pockets of political tension in certain regions.
Prime Minister of Tunisia, Hamadi Jebali, resigned on March 14, 2012. Robert Mugabe resigned as President of Zimbabwe on November 21, 2017. Jacob Zuma stepped down as South Africa's President on February 15. Ethiopia's Prime Minister, Haile Mariam Desalegn, on Thursday, February 15, submitted his resignation letter after the worst anti-government protest in a quarter of a century. International relations expert Professor Vladimir Intridanto is of the view the pattern of resignations by some African presidents should not be misunderstood.
I think it's a sign of a growing democracy, one way or the other, if you broaden the definition of democracy to mean citizens' participation, citizens' concern and change. In Ethiopia, you saw the unending kind of street riots and demands, and the government became frustrated. And I think we should offer our hearts also for the leadership, the kind of leadership we are having, in the sense that this is a stage in the leadership of Africa where they wouldn't want chaos. Now in South Africa, Zuma just felt that, hey, come on, I mean, I can't let go chaos. So better step down and let the ANC be the ANC. So if you look at these trends, then we are getting a new crop of leadership which is understanding the trends in democracy where you got to give in when you have to give in.
He noted the image of the African continent to the international community could rather be strengthened through the stepping down of some presidents. He argued that it reveals Africa has moved away from violence as a means of resolution to dialogue and peaceful civilized methods.
I'm rather very happy that we have reached a point in our governance system in Africa where we change governments not by the bullet as such, but that the citizens themselves have a way of forcing their governments out if they don't like them. It's part of the constitution in the sense that, I mean, revolt is also constitutional, rather than forcing the soldiers to take up arms.
In spite of the bold political developments across the continent, the concern by many is ensuring the economies of these African nations are not negatively affected in the process of political development. Natalie Fort, TV3 News.
The Volta Regional Industrial and Commercial Workers Union has backed calls to resist any deduction from their salaries in support of the National Health Insurance Scheme. The Deputy General Secretary in charge of operations, Morgan Ayawene, at a media encounter said unless proper consultations are done, no one dares touch a penny from their earnings.
NHIS was instituted some 14 years ago after wide consultations and piloting. However, the scheme has remained bedeviled with a myriad of challenges that continue to affect effective implementation. Notable among these challenges are alleged mismanagement and abuse of funds. Services have dipped over the years contrary to the increasing volume of contributions. 2.5% of workers' net contributions go directly into the scheme, yet government is proposing a further 1% deduction. This, the Industrial and Commercial Workers Union ICU observed cannot be done without their consent.
We are not in any way against any system to give us a very good health delivery system. But then we are saying that you must look at where to pick the money from. We have the endowment fund there. We have the heritage fund. And they are saying that they want to use it for free education. If you are not healthy, can you go to school? So they must prioritize that you give people good health, then after that they can go to school.
The Deputy General Secretary in charge of operations, Morgan Ayawene, outlined reasons why the over 80,000 members must resist the attempt.
It's actually bad for the government to consider deducting an additional 1% as levy towards the NHIS scheme. To be honest, they have made a lot of promises which we hardly find fulfilled, and so they should look for other alternatives in resolving this issue because Ghanaian workers have suffered, and this will put a lot of burden on the Ghanaian workers. I think they should reconsider that decision.
And the Forestry Commission has signed a memorandum of understanding under which Mondelez International is contributing $5 million towards improving the cocoa sector. The 5-year partnership aims at reducing the rate of deforestation and forest degradation, associated greenhouse emissions from cocoa farm and forest zones.
Ghana supplies about 20% of the world's cocoa. Ghana also has one of the highest deforestation rates in Africa at 3.2% per annum. This is primarily due to unsustainable expansion of cocoa and other agricultural crops.
The acreage that they work, you need also to inform them about the fact that there's no need for further expansion and cutting the trees down. But even in the small environment that you work, you could still make the same yield as it is.
Mondelez's goal, according to the Global Director of Cocoa Programs at Mondelez International, Kathy Pieterse, is to foster a sustainable cocoa supply chain through good environmental practices.
We strongly believe that the foundation for a thriving supply chain for us is a combination of empowered cocoa farmers, but it also means in cocoa growing communities that are adapted to climate change, protected and combating deforestation.
It targets mainly cocoa growing areas in high forest zones and encourages farmers to adopt smart ways of increasing their yield instead of expansion of their farms.
And of course, we focus on the youth as the next generation of cocoa farmers, as also the group that will get more education, more knowledge to be able to drive cocoa and cocoa business in the right direction.
The MOU demonstrated the commitment of the two institutions to promote the well-being of the cocoa farmers.
When you have lower yields, then of course they will be expanding to larger areas in terms of, and they will be destroying more of the forest to be able to achieve the tonnage that they want to achieve. So it's a good thing that the yield per hectare on the farms is taken seriously, so that whatever we are doing, we should be looking at what impact it will bring onto the local communities.
Specific focus will be on mapping all land users, including cocoa farms, implementing climate-smart cocoa practices to increase yield.
And that's how we wrap up with News at 10. Thank you very much for staying with us. On behalf of the crew here, good night. There is more news at 3news.com.